I'm not all that impressed with my hair at the moment, and I think it kind of looks better when I have anonymous face. So I think I'll just do my video like this.
We are, we forever are, we are magic and magic and magic.
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't take away this lovely face from you girls this week. But I do have to tell you something. I think Orlando Bloom was much hotter as a pirate than he ever was as an elf. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been in love with some elves in my day, but they've always been in books and not in movies. In movies, I think they tend to just look too, I don't know, waifish. And I get that elves are supposed to be waifish, but I really think that he was much better as a pirate. My celebrity crush is no secret. I love Seth Rogen. I think we would be really good friends. I think we would like hanging out together. And I would have told him this when I talked to him the one time, except that, yeah, that sounds really creepy and weird, and in fact is a direct quote from an episode of Undeclared that they did, where Seth Rogen was really excited to meet Adam Sandler, and then Adam Sandler came to hang out with them, and they just sat around in silence. Oh, you've never heard the story about how I talked to Seth Rogen? It's one of my favorites. So, back in January of 2008, they were filming Zack and Miri Make a Porno here in Pittsburgh because Kevin Smith likes to film movies in Pittsburgh. It's cheap and we're close to Toronto, or Toronto-ish, wherever he lives in Canada. And so I decided that I would figure out where they were filming that day and I would go and talk to Seth Rogen. So I told Tim that I was going to do this, and he was like, well, I'm gonna come with you. And I told JP that I was gonna do this, and he was like, of course, I'm gonna come with you. And so we headed off to where we had heard they were filming that day. And they were filming at an old elementary school. They were filming the class reunion scene. And if you haven't seen Zack and Miri, it really doesn't matter what scene they were filming. Anyway, so we drive up and we find all these signs that say ZAM and then have arrows at them. And they're kind of like hidden, like posted on telephone poles, but not very obvious. And of course it means Zack and Miri, and I know this. And so I'm freaking out because we keep finding these signs and following them. And we finally find the school and we're up there. And we like drive around. There's all sorts of trailers and stuff. There's like nothing going on. There's like dude that looks like a security guard smoking at one of the doors, and that's it. So then we got out of the car and we were walking around, and JP and Tim decided that they felt dumb. They were not going to stand out in the cold and wait for Seth Rogen to appear. It was like 16 degrees. I was perfectly willing to do that. But after 2 minutes of doing that by myself, I realized I looked like a creepy stalker staring at this back door where I presumed he would come out. So I decided to get back in the car. And I got back in the car and I said, I'm going to drive around the block just one more time. And Tim and JP sighed heavily and said, okay. We drove around the block and I'm driving down the sidewalk, and Tim goes, there he is! And it was him. He was walking up the street. And he was with some people. I have no idea who he was with, but I rolled my window down and said, hey! And I actually screamed hey very loudly, so much so that I startled him. So after I startled him, I proceeded to say in one very quick breath, hi, I just wanted to say I've been a big fan of yours. I have been since Freaks and Geeks. I just really love your work. To which he responded, thanks, I appreciate that a lot, thank you. And he sounded very sincere and nice. Also, I'm glad that Katie specified Greek mythology, because I was going to be very upset if you were just talking about gods and goddesses, because if Kristen named me Freya, I was going to scream, because that's not fair. Wait, on?